Hi, and welcome back to Purple Collar Life. Today's video is about chainsaws and specifically a step-by-step on how to replace the bar on your chainsaw. We'll be working with the Stihl MS290, but the process is similar with any of the Stihl chainsaws. I also have the Stihl MS271 here. So in today's video, we'll walk you through how to do that and why you'd want to do that, different reasons why you'd want to change the bar out over time. Now this video is intended for someone who isn't experienced with changing out the bar on their chainsaw, but for those of you that are more expert, certainly you can tag along with us today, watch the video, and leave comments down below on other tips and tricks or other reasons that you may want to change out the bar on your chainsaw. So let's get started. All right, so we'll start out talking about what I have here. This is my Stihl MS291 Farm Boss. This particular Farm Boss chainsaw has an 18-inch bar and chain on it. This is the older version of the Stihl Farm Boss. This is the MS290, and this is one of the most popular chainsaws ever sold for farm and ranch use by homeowners. So this is not a professional chainsaw, but it is a great all-around use saw for cutting up firewood, limbing trees, just taking care of property if you live in a rural area like we do here in Northwest Pennsylvania. But this chainsaw bar is a 16-inch, so today we're going to change that out with the Stihl Farm Boss 20-inch bar. At the time of this video, this bar cost about $50 for the 20-inch version. You can see it is the Stihl Farm Boss version, and you can see it'll be quite a bit bigger than our 16-inch bar. So we'll start the process here, and as we're doing that, we'll talk about the reasons why you'd want to change out your bar. So tools you'll need is very simple. I keep the scrench, the screwdriver wrench. A lot of people call it a scrench. I keep my scrench in the bar protector. Then of course you'll need your new bar that you're installing, and you'll need a new chain, the appropriate length for the bar that you're installing. But this is the only tool you need to complete this process. The first thing we want to do is use our scrench to just loosen up these two nuts that hold the bar and chain onto the body of the chainsaw. Now once I've got them loose to where I can turn them by finger, you can see that this screw inside here is what loosens and tightens the chain on the bar. So by turning counterclockwise, I'm loosening that chain. If I were to turn clockwise, I'm tightening that chain on the bar. We'll talk as we finish up about how tight that chain should be, but we want to loosen it up so that we can take the bar and chain off the chainsaw now. On the MS290, these are not captive nuts, so you want to keep a hold of them, put them in a safe place. But removing those two nuts allows you to remove this side of the case, and you can see the Stihl setup is really nice. Easy to access all your points and pieces here, easy to get the chain off, easy to get the bar off. All we will need to do is start the chain off of the sprocket or pull our bar out. Now this is my 16-inch Farm Boss blade bar that's been on the chainsaw since new. Over time you may want to flip this over. So we'll talk a little bit about one of the reasons you'd want to change your bar out. Bars do wear over time. There's a lot of friction inside there, and a lot of times what will happen is you'll start cutting, you're trying to cut straight through a piece of wood and you start angling one way or the other. That's sometimes an indication it's time to flip your bar over so that the chain's spinning in the opposite direction and wears down. So sometimes you just flip the bar over. For me, that's a little bit annoying to have the words upside down, but that's just a particular hang up I have in my head of seeing the text upside down on the bar. But you do want to spend about equal amount of time with the text upside down and the text right side up. So that's one of the reasons you may want to change your bar out, is just to flip it over or to replace it once it's completely worn out on both sides. You can see that one side of this bar, in my case, appears to be more worn than the other side. Like the top here doesn't look as worn out as the bottom does. The paint's all worn off. You can see there's some places where I've been bound up and caught. But as far as looking at it from the bottom, we're not in horrible shape. This bar is still actually in really good shape and still plenty of life left in it. The other things you'll see is at the top there's a couple holes. These two holes are what allow the oil to be sent from the automatic oiler. There's actually 3 holes here. One right here and then 2 here. And those, you need to make sure you keep them cleaned out so that the oil can get sent to the chainsaw, to the bar. Alright, so we've taken off the old bar and chain. Now we're going to install the new, in this case, 20-inch bar and chain. So you can see here what these holes do. This bottom pin is located in the bar into one of these 2 holes, so that's why there's 2 of them, so that when you flip this over, it's on the other one. And that pin is what pulls the bar forward and back to tighten the chain. The little hole right here is what allows the bar and chain oil to be sent from the chainsaw into the bar for that automatic bar and chain lubrication. So you can see that this little hole lines up with this slot when the chainsaw is in action. So placing the bar on like that, and then opening up our new 20-inch bar chain. In this case, this is a part number 26RM3-81. 81 is the number of links in the chain. It's the length of the chain. And you can see this chain cost me $23.33. The bar cost me about $50, like I said, as of the time of this video. So you want to get your chain all straightened out. Sometimes when you first take them out of the box, they're a little bit difficult to work with, but just take your time, get those kinks out of them, because you need to be able to lay it over top of the bar. Now, how I like to do this is to start at the tip of the bar and put my chain into the sprocket at the tip of the bar, and then lay it down the channel on the top of the bar, just like so, and then feed it into the sprocket of the engine. And as needed, you can remember counterclockwise to loosen the bar chain up, which lets it slide backwards until you can get the chain over the sprocket like that. Now once you've got the chain over the sprocket, laying across the top of your bar, what I like to do is retighten this a little bit so that the chain isn't so sloppy along the bottom, but you want to align the chain so that as you're tightening, it's lining up with the groove in the bar. And then once you have it at least lined up here at the beginning and at the end in the sprocket of the new bar, it can actually be easier to put the case on so that the bar is not trying to fall back out. Remember, we've got our 2 nuts to put back on, and we're just going to put them on finger tight for now to hold the side of the case and the bar in place. Move our old chain out of the way here. And then now we can use the scrench screwdriver end to tighten clockwise the chain. And you could see that take the gap right out of the bottom there. Now you don't want to tighten it up too much because you want to still have some slack, some ability for that chain to move inside the bar without binding on itself. So I like to leave it just like this, just about this much slack. And then once you've got that set, you tighten up these two nuts again. Try to tighten them, one at a time to balance out the torque. Now once you've tightened these down, you won't be able to adjust the tension of your bar. So if you decide you want this a little bit tighter or a little bit more loose, you'll want to just loosen these two nuts up enough to loosen up the chain tightener, and then make your adjustment and retighten these two bolts. So that is the process. You can see very easy. We just went from a 16-inch chainsaw bar to a 20-inch chainsaw bar and chain. It takes less than 5 minutes. Only tool required is your scrench. I keep that with my chainsaw all the time. And then of course you're going to need your replacement bar and chain. Now at some point I'll change this back to the 16-inch bar when I don't need the 20-inch bar. But we talked about the reasons to switch a bar out. In my case, I've changed the bar out on my MS290 because I need to be able to cut some bigger wood. If you watched a previous video about that big oak tree, you know that there's a huge oak tree that was beyond the capabilities of my 18-inch bar on the MS270 So what I did was I got the 20-inch bar for my MS290. That'll let me cut a little bit farther through that oak tree. We were in the middle of the tree in the last video you saw, and it was about 20 inches right there. So as we work further down the trunk of the tree, we're going to be in the 30 to 34 inch range. This will let me get more than halfway through from each side of the log. So there you go, tutorial on how to change out that bar for those of you who are new to chainsaws or have never changed the bar on your chainsaw before. If you are an experienced chainsaw user, please leave those comments down below, tips that you've learned over time, other reasons you may want to change that bar out. And maybe some of you can leave more information than I was able to give on when it's time to flip the bar over, or how you know if the bar is actually worn out and it's time to just replace it with another bar. In this case, we made the change to get the longer bar on our MS290. Our last step here is just going to be to start this up, make sure the chain moves freely and we don't have any issues. And also with the brand new chain, we will see that stretch out a little bit in the first couple uses. So we'll be ready as we're cutting with our scrench to loosen these bolts, tighten the chain up a little bit, and then retighten those bolts. Let's go ahead and give this a start. This is a cold start. The chainsaw has not been run yet today. You'll see I'm in a hoodie. It's actually only about 45 degrees out today, so we are carrying into fall here in Northwest Pennsylvania. It got cold pretty quick. One click up. If this video informed or entertained you in any way, we'd appreciate if you'd give us a thumbs up. It helps out the video, helps out the channel. And if you're not already following Purple Collar Life, please, we'd love to have you click that subscribe button and follow us along in our Northwest Pennsylvania rural life adventure. We've got a lot of chainsaws, tractors, log splitters, firewood, hometown maintenance here at our homestead in Northwest Pennsylvania. Stay tuned. In a future video, you're going to see this 20-inch bar in action cutting up some more of that big oak tree. And then we're also going to do a video in the future comparing this green micro chain with the yellow, more aggressive tooth chain. So watch for those videos coming up in the future here on Purple Collar Life. But hopefully this helped you out. Very easy to do. You don't have to be a mechanic or an expert to change out the bar on your chainsaw. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again the next time. And in case you were wondering if your steel case that used to fit on your 16-inch bar or your 18-inch bar will still slide over top of a 20-inch bar, there you go. Perfect fit.